Hello everyone. Today we will be going to implement KubeVirt. As you are able to see in my screen, before to implement the concept, I want to take you with the comparison so that your understanding will be well enough to implement the practical implementation, right? So let's first talk about Red Hat virtualization. I'm taking here Red Hat virtualization as a comparison with Red Hat OpenShift virtualization. So when you talk about Red Hat virtualization, you required few components like Red Hat Manager, right? You required a Red Hat Manager. So consider this is Red Hat Manager, and you required some host. You can say Red Hat virtualization host, where actually you will deploy your VMs and number of VMs based on the capacity of the hypervisor. It will be deployed. I am taking four hosts here, and your hypervisor. These all are hypervisor, which allow to create a virtual machine on top of it, and this manager will be will be this is your hypervisor you can consider, and this is basically a Red Hat virtualization manager, which will basically connect with your all the hypervisor. So you have a Red Hat virtualization manager, which is basically controlling your hypervisor also, and virtual machine, which is you are going to create on top of your hypervisor, right? So this is the way that Red Hat virtualization is basically we will be implementing. Not only just Red Hat virtualization. If you talk about VMware virtualization also, we have vCenter from where we will be able to connect to our ESXi, which is our hypervisor, and we will create a number of virtual machine. Here, how we have done with respect to 1, 2, 3 virtual machines here. Now, when we talk about Red Hat virtualization, so we have a manager which we have deployed in one of the VM, and with the help of web console, with the help of CLI, we are able to connect to VDSM, which is Video Display Server Manager. It is an agent which is running in your host, and from VDSM, it will connect to your livword. Livword is one of the major component of your Red Hat virtualization, KVM based virtualization, where it will define the virtual machine, and it will closely work with KVM and QEMU. QEMU is actually helping Liver to actually emulate the actual hardware, and KVM is a hypervisor which allowed to create a virtual machine. So with the help of this, we are able to connect to Red Hat virtualization host and virtual machine on top of it. So this is called normal virtualization, right? And we have used this concept here. Now let's talk about Red Hat OpenShift virtualization, where uh, we will talk about KubeVirt part, where how KubeVirt is getting used here to deploy the virtual machine on top of Core OS, RHEL Core OS. RHEL Core OS is not a hypervisor; it is a container optimized OS, which you use to create, which help us to create a container on top of it, right? With respect to only Red Hat OpenShift part. Now, same concept, we are aware how we will be able to connect to OpenShift cluster with the help of Web Console and CLI by using OC or Web Console. And with when you are connected, you consider your OpenShift Web Console and CLI is like similar to your vCenter or Red Hat Virtualization Manager, which connect to your worker nodes, and those worker node you can consider as a hypervisor. On top of those worker nodes only, you will be creating a virtual machines. So we know that KubeVirt is running in all the nodes, right? Kubelet is running all the nodes, and Kubelet is an agent which will communicate with your, you can say, with your this particular stack, Livword, QEMU, KVM, and on top of that, VM will be created. So if you see this red box where you have Livword, QEMU, KVM, Livword, as we know that it is used for to define the VM, and QEMU will actually emulate the hardware, and KVM is a hypervisor, kernel-based virtual machine, which allow to create a virtual machine similar to your other hypervisor category like VMware ESXi, which allow to create a virtual machine on top of that. Here we are talking about KVM. because we are talking about KubeVirt container. So on top of that, you are able to create a VM, and this VM, as of now, what all VM you created here, it is as of now VM1, right? It is VM1. You can say it is VM1. Again, you create means again one more stack will be created similar to this, where again you have same kind of you can say same kind of levered you will be having QEMU, KVM you will be having on top of that VMs. So this is your basically you can say VM2. So these VMs we will be creating in OpenShift virtualization platform, which is basically based on top of your OpenShift container platform only. OpenShift virtualization is not a separate product. It is an add-on service on top of your OpenShift container platform. Uh, how we are going to implement, we'll create a namespace. In that namespace, you can deploy your pod also, you can deploy your VM also. In that VM, we will enable SSH port so that we can access the VM how we generally do in legacy mode. And here also, it means you are accessing your pod actually by using SSH, you are accessing your pod, but actually it is not a pod. It is a livered container. Inside that container, you have VM, and that VM you are trying to access with SSH. There you have deployed your Apache Web Service. We will take an example of port number 80 and we'll deploy index.html simple application. Because as we know that in VM we can deploy n number of applications. So here also we will be doing the same thing. We will deploy SSH where we will be able to access the VM via IP address, and we'll be deploying Apache, which is SADPD, on port number 80. And we'll try to access both the application from workstation, which is not a part of your OCP cluster. So this is what we are going to implement now, and we'll discuss in detail how the virtual machine will be created on top of your RHEL Core OS. Thank you.